Welcome to Two Humans Talking, the podcast that talks about what it takes to actually be healthy and stay healthy in a modern, fast paced world. I'm your host, Tiffany Simms, and today I am here with Afya Evans, who is going to help us talk about how do you show up and unprogram a little bit of the mess that's happening in your head when you're a woman who looks in the mirror and doesn't really like what she sees, when you don't recognize yourself, when you don't look the way you want to look. We're going to go there today. And so if you've been feeling that way, you're not alone in today's episode. It was perfectly designed just for you. So, Afia, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yay! I am so happy to be here. I love this show. I love what you're doing. Thank you for having me on.
You are so welcome. I am really excited to have this conversation for our listeners at home. But before we do, can you share with us what makes you you? Where do you live? Like all the pieces that make you sparkle uniquely you in this world.
Wow, that's actually such a great question. And I know that you ask it. I think for me, well, just from a personal standpoint, I am a lot of things. I feel like I'm like 100% a creative. And then I'm also like 100% that logical, analytical person. So, like, I love to sing, I love to write, I'll do public speaking, styling, and stuff. But then at the same time, I'm very detail oriented, very intellectual, very a lot of analysis that I do by trade. I was an intelligence analyst for 20 plus years, and
That's
so
so cool.
yeah, and Tiffany, when I hear you talking about being in that male dominated kind of sciencey world, I totally resonate with that. I understand that, but I am also a creative. And so I bring both that creative and that kind of intellectual analytic person together to work with my clients and to help them feel better about themselves, learn how to speak publicly better with more confidence so that they are able to just knock it out of the park every single time. So that's what I'm about. That's who I am. I was a kid who I wanted to be the singer. I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to be a combat pilot, all the things. And so to say kind of what are you and who are you? I'm many things, but I'm here today to share all of that with you and your audience.
I love that. It's one of my favorite questions to
Mhm.
ask
Okay.
because I think it's because for so long that if you asked me who I was, oh, or what do you do? Like I would lead with my title. I was a nuclear chemist. I kept your lights on for 12 and a half years,
Wow.
or when I worked in the lab at Hopkins or NIH, like, oh, I do research. I'm studying lung cancer. Studying beta cells to try to like undo whatever. And because I had worked so hard to achieve those, like to get hired to do the job, I was so proud of it. And I didn't actually know who I was beyond that. And so now, like, I absolutely, if you were to meet me out in public and ask me, like, oh, who are you? I'd be like, I love the color pink. I'm obsessed with Run Disney. I love walking my dog or kayaking. And then I would share with you that I help high achieving women learn how to create harmony between their health, their relationships, and the way they earn money. And it was like that learning of like, I am more than just my job. And even though for me, my career is 100% because of my story and the pieces of me that led me here,
Mhm.
they're not necessarily the same. And so, like, I love asking people, like, what makes you you? And for so many women, it's the first time anyone's asked them that in such a long time. And so
Mhm.
I just think it's really cool to get to know people beyond the surface, soul to soul. I digress.
No,
I
I
digress.
agree. I
I
agree.
digress. But actually, maybe I don't digress because when I think about the times that I looked in the mirror and
Mhm.
didn't like the way I looked, didn't like the person I had become, it was because I didn't know who I was and I had lost myself along the way and I was like running all in all the wrong places trying to find her. Um, so for you, Afia, like where does your story in that start of like learning how to see yourself in your head the way you wanted to see yourself in the world?
Mhm. Yeah, I think a lot of us have that experience. So for some of us, we never really knew who we were, and so we're struggling to try to find it. And then others of us kind of knew who we were, or we were in touch with it, and then life happened, the world
Mhm.
happened, and then now we don't know who we are anymore. For me, I'm in the latter group. As a very young child, I had a family that put me out front. They knew I could sing. Okay, go ahead, sing, Afia. I'm 4 or 5. Don't tell me. I thought I was going to be on TV, right? So I grew up with this confidence in myself of all the things that I could do. I didn't know you couldn't be a combat pilot. I saw Luke Skywalker. I said, "Oh, I want to do that."
Me too. Like, let's
Right.
go.
I want to do that. I didn't know women weren't allowed to be in combat. So I grew up with this confidence in self. And it wasn't until I got to be an adult. I would say even I was an adult and I started working in the field that people started to treat me like I couldn't.
Mm.
Or I got into relationships where, the men would be like, "Oh, no, 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 you're not." And that started over time, started to chip away at that confidence. And then I started to gain weight as a response to that. And it was like weight, confidence. And the next thing I knew, I was 100 pounds, 100+ pounds overweight. My confidence on the inside now, on the outside, no, you would have thought I was the most confident person, but on the inside, I was not. And so I got so far away from that. And I look back and said, what happened to that little girl that was so confident?
With all that spunk.
That's right. But I had to get back to it. So I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna lose weight. And I went on a journey to lose weight, and full disclosure, I don't want anybody to think that I just sweated it out and I worked it out and did all that. I mean, I had a medical scare and my doctor said, if you do not lose weight, you will die. I will die? Yes, you will die. Oh, okay. Well, then let's lose weight, right? So I went on a journey. I had surgery. Actually, I had bariatric surgery. And went on a very strict diet because a lot of people don't know this. If you have bariatric surgery and you don't maintain your right eating and exercising, portion control, all that, you can very easily gain all that weight back. So that process was something else for me. So I was like, I'm not doing that. So I was set about to learn how to uh, eat. Did anybody not teach us how to eat? Like, they
I
didn't teach
think
us
they
how to eat.
tried,
Like,
but they didn't really teach us how to
no, they didn't
listen
tell
or
you that if
adjust.
you eat and drink together at the same time, that's not necessarily the best way to eat. Or that if you eat slowly over a 20-30 minute period, that you will eat less. Or, I mean, all these little things that I was learning now that I had surgery, I was like, why didn't nobody tell us this like when we were little? Like, we could all avoid
Or
all of
why
it.
didn't they teach me this before the surgery?
Right. Right. Industry is what I think, but that's another story. But
We
yeah,
could go down that rabbit hole, so be
I
careful.
that's a whole other
Where I started. It's where my
right.
business entrepreneurship journey started.
That's right. So that was I lost like 85 and almost 90 something pounds. And I've been able to keep a good portion of that off, thank God. But what happened is, yeah, I lost the weight now. No, in my mind, I was still that same person.
Yep.
Still that same person. And it was like, I thought that was going to be the ticket. No. So I had to go about learning to who I really, really was, no matter what size, no matter how many pounds, no matter what was going on, whether I had a boyfriend, didn't have a boyfriend. Who are you?
Yeah.
And I went back, started doing the mindset work, started to get in touch with my younger self, started to go back and, dig up all of that dirt and yuck and bad stuff that had clung to me, and then started to emerge.
And
The
isn't it
option.
fascinating? I don't know about for you, but for me, when it was no longer about weight loss per se, but about me learning, about me wanting to just feel my best
Mhm,
and knowing what my best was,
mhm,
everything changed. And now, like, as we're recording this, I'm a very solid size 12. I've
mhm,
never had more energy, never had clearer thoughts, never been more confident in myself. And it
mhm,
has nothing to do with the size of my body. It's because I'm doing all the things that help me feel my best rather than all of the things because I was trying to be enough.
That's right.
or look
That's
apart.
absolutely right. And that those are great gauges, right? For whether you're happy, whether you are healthy. I remember I tell this story a lot. I went on a date. I was dating a guy. This is when I was at kind of at my heaviest. And again, I still thought I was attractive. I thought he thought I was attractive anyway. So we're going on a date. I went to go put on my shoes and I couldn't reach over and buckle my shoes.
Mm,
I
the
was
worst.
sweating. I was sweating. I couldn't get, and I just broke down crying. And it was like, if you can't reach over to buckle your shoe and it's causing you to cry, you are not healthy. You're not happy. Like that is not the state that you want to be in. So little things like that, not what does the scale say, but how do I feel about my experiences every day? So
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Right? Like, when I think back, I have such a hard time around the weight conversation now because, like, yes, there are true health reasons for so many Americans, and not like globally, humans globally, to go on a health journey beyond just the weight loss, right? But and so I don't want this to be a like an anti-skinny, anti-fat conversation. I don't want that to be received on the other end. Because when I think about my healthiest, fittest self, the one that was getting all the compliments and asking how I did it and was just like in the best shape of her life, she wasn't healthy either.
Mhm.
Like, when I look back, she wasn't healthy. She was still a prisoner of her own body. She was afraid of food. She was afraid to miss a workout. She was still worried about what everyone else thought of her.
Mhm.
She still was insecure about everything. Like, and whereas now, like, there are some things in my fitness journey I would like to dial back in. And I think that's a season that I'm coming into of like going harder in my fitness for those very
Mhm.
specific reasons. But it's not about my body shape anymore. It's about like what can I do, because I know who I am now.
Mhm.
There is no seeking out other people's approvals or trying to look a certain way to be enough. And I didn't know those things. I don't know about you, but like I didn't know the underlying storylines of why I was struggling.
Mhm.
And there was parts of me that was like I was hiding under the weight because I had been molested as a child, and like that was my way of being undesirable to other people, which was so counterintuitive because all I wanted was a boy to love me.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
do you have stories like that when you look back that just
I
feel
do.
so messy and convoluted?
I do. I think, well, first of all, let me just say I'm really sorry that that happened to you. Unfortunately, in this country, I think it's something like 1 in 6 women in this country report being sexually abused. So
Yeah,
that is just, I mean, we could do a whole show on that number, how astronomical
probably.
and horrible that it is. But yes, I experienced that as well. But I think for me, at least not that I know of, my weight gain wasn't necessarily a cover as much as it was a liberation in my mind.
Tell me
Uh,
more.
yes, because I didn't talk about this earlier, but I did go to the military. So I did one tour in the military. So that's where I started my in military intelligence background. And so in the military you have to be fit. You have to run. You have to do push-ups, sit-ups. All good kind of stuff. So but I got so tired of that because, and you mentioned one of this in one of your previous episodes about the picture that you had of yourself, and you looked back and you said, "This kid is normal." Like what? I looked back at a picture from that age or from that era when I was being called fat. I was nothing of the sort. Like not at all. I was just curvy. But they just, oh, you lard butt. They used to call me, all kind of stuff. And so I said in my mind, I think, when I get out of here, I'm going to eat whatever I want. If I don't feel like doing one sit up or push up, I won't. And that, as you can imagine, because for me, it was like, yep, want to eat this cookie? Sure do. Yep, don't feel like working out? No. I worked out every single day for the last, decade of my life, not doing it anymore. Not realizing I was sabotaging myself. Or maybe I did, but just didn't care. Right. So yeah, I do. I definitely have those stories as well.
I love this because so often, like if you go on the internet, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, wherever you choose to mindlessly scroll, there is always someone being like, eat less, move more, and it's fine. Like,
And there
this is
you
a
go.
you problem.
Mhm.
But the truth is like everything, like our personal stories that we just shared, there is so much more to why your body is holding on to weight than calories in versus calories out. Like, there's a whole identity tied to it. There's an identity of why you need to look different. There's an identity of why you don't want to. There's an identity of it feeling of this like punishment for not loving who you are today and not being enough.
Mhm.
Like, there's some sort of identity tied into where, whether it's weight, money, relationships, for why we are exactly stuck where we're at.
So true. That's so true.
The
And
story's so much bigger.
a lot of the times when I work with my clients, they want to get straight to the wardrobe or they want to get straight to the, speech. I want to learn how to speak better. And I start them out saying, no, no, no. We need to work on you. Who are you? What are you about? I said,
Who
because I
are
promise
you?
you, the reason you don't want to wear skirts or you don't like this or that, or someone told you that you didn't look good, your high school boyfriend told you that green wasn't your color, right? There's so much of that we have to pull off before we can even think about trying to put together an outfit for you or look at your image because you don't even know what you want to project as an image because it's all junk from what someone
Yes.
told you, right? So yeah, I get that.
Okay, there's a few things that just popped into my head. One, if you're not watching on YouTube, you should go look at her on you look at us on YouTube. Afia's looks fire in
Oh,
red. Like,
oh,
I told her this before the show, but now we just need to call it out again. Like, colors matter. Your presentation really does say a lot about you. And when I look at you through our little screen window, I see a woman who is at peace and who is confident and is showing up boldly and serenely at the same time. Like, there's such a relaxed energy about you, even though there's so much power in your outfit right now. And all I can see is your collarbone up,
well,
right?
you know what, and can we get, I know you are scientist as well, so can we get nerdy for a second?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. This concept of like image and perception and projection out, like it's all about communicating. Our brains pick up communication, whether verbal, nonverbal, from people all the time. So all the stuff that you just said, oh, you look serene, you look this and you look that. That's because that is what's already on the inside of me, and that's what I'm projecting. Now, I know that this red is my color because, by trade, what I do is color analysis. We do body analysis. I even analyze people's gait, the way that they walk, stuff like that. Once you know you, then it's like you can stack your wardrobe, you can stack your cabinets, the food you eat, everything according to what's going to bring out the best in you. And so this what you see is, 50 something years of me getting to know who is Afya and what is she about and then say, okay, I'm going to intentionally project that outward when I go to talk to Tiffany. Right.
Isn't it so fun? Are those words that you would define yourself as? Are those things you've written on paper or close to?
And I don't know that I've written him on paper, but yes, it on the inside that would be who I would say that I am. Confident for sure. Relaxed, I don't know. Now that I'm not sure, but um definitely comfortable in my skin.
Yeah, there's a calm about you.
Mhm.
It's so fun. 2 weeks ago now, from the time that we're recording this, I was in a research. I'm a certified high performance coach. And so I was in research and I've been working really hard on myself for like a decade now, right? And like undoing and learning and relearning and all this stuff. And to be in those breakout sessions and with complete strangers and them sharing my core values back to me
Mm,
through just our coaching sessions of how I carried myself, how I presented myself, how I led a session or was a client in a session was like this such surreal, serene moment where I was just like, it's
it's
okay.
me.
Like, yes, those are the things that I've written on all the boards around the house for like 10 years. Like, I am becoming her and like not just becoming her for myself, but like embodying her in such a way
Embodiment.
that like she shines through me for other people to see without me saying a word.
Yes. I was gonna
So
wait till the
cool.
end of the I was gonna wait till the end of the thing to say this, and I'll say it again at the end too. But my business mantra is turn heads, blow minds, and change lives. And
Yes.
that is the kind of the sequence, right? You get to the place where, people want to know that you look good. That's just scientifically, if you look bad and you look like you're a threat, they're gonna they're not gonna be drawn to you. So looking good and being something that is good to see is the first step. But then once you have their attention, you have to say something. You have to blow their mind. It has to be some, and then and it doesn't have to be super profound, by the way. It just has to be something that is a takeaway for them. And then after that, you know, does it change their life? If when they walk away from Tiffany, do they say, man, that Tiffany, I need to look her up some more because I want to binge her podcast. Like, I really, really want to get to know who this person is. I want to buy her stuff. I want to do it, whatever. It has to be something that changes their lives. And if you do those things, and you can do that in your family, you can do that at school or at a training like you were. If you do that, then you are leaving an impact and an imprint wherever you go. And that is what I want to see ladies
Yes.
do, women do. Yeah.
Yes. And I think there's a misconception. And the reason I think this is true is because I used to have this misconception that meant that it was that I had to dress a certain way. I had to say the right thing. I had to like offer value in a way. And it was like, but actually, all of the things Afia just said are done when you decide, who do I want to be in this world?
Yes.
Because there's a version of me who probably has false lashes and is ready for a stage presentation, right? She looks a little different.
Yep.
But for me, like when I think about recording the podcast and like my everyday interactions, it's really important for me to feel relatable to other people. And so I'm here in my, like, I got a little sports bra on, I got my workout leggings, and I got this cute little, like, I'm running errands jacket, and I still feel put together. I don't
Right.
feel like a hot
Well,
mess.
intentional is the
Yes,
key, right? You mean
yes.
to look,
I
I would
mean
say,
to
more
look.
casual than
Yes.
the lashes and all of that. And
Yes.
that's the key. Because what are you communicating? If you want to communicate, we're just chilling, we are just sitting down having a conversation, then you don't want to be necessarily dressed like how I'm dressed. So
Right, but
yeah, it is,
it
but
comes
it
down
does
to,
need
like,
to be
that
intentional.
intention.
Because if you do that and it looks like you just rolled out of bed, and I've
No
seen
one
some
wants to take you
that say
seriously.
I rolled you out of bed. Okay, but it's not that they
Right.
won't take you seriously. What they will say is subconsciously, even this is not always conscious. They will say, "Oh, she doesn't take care of herself. So why am I going to trust her with my time, my money,
Yes.
my stuff?"
If
So
she can't take care of herself,
if
how
she
am I
can't
gonna
take care of
trust her
herself. So
with
yeah,
my
you don't have to have on a stitch of makeup, but do you have like little sleep in your eye? Like, no, like watch your face
right.
so there's no sleep,
But
right? You know what
like you said, like that
I mean?
intention of, how do I want the world to receive me today? And who do I want to be in the world? And then you get dressed for that. Your conversations become that. Like the energy transfer that you have is around that. And so
Mhm.
most people when they leave me are going, man, like I feel energized. She was so uplifting. Man, like even she has a bad day, but I didn't feel the heaviness around that. Like I feel like we moved somewhere. Like those are things that I have worked really hard in identifying of how I want to leave people. What are those markers for you? Like how do you intentionally, who are you intentionally showing up in the world as? How do you want people to leave your presence?
Oh, yeah, it changed, impacted, empowered, motivated. I can't tell you how many times, and like you said, once you embody this, it's hard to not do it. I can't tell you how many times in a grocery store I've been in line and somebody left. We had a whole conversation and with a stranger about things, or they burst into tears, or they'll just say, "Oh, there's just something about you." Like that happens to me a lot. But again, that's because now I'm in that space. And like you said, well, and it could happen anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be on stage. Like that is your stage. You know what I mean?
Life
So
is your
it
stage.
is. It is. And we all have I was going to say a
Say
performance.
it.
That's not a good word, but we all have something to offer on this stage. And I think I see too many people, women especially, who are afraid to shine on the stage.
Yeah.
And I'm here to help them to say, no, these gifts are given to you for a reason. We want it. I want it. Let's see it. Come out with it. And I understand some people are introverted, so they don't want to be around people a lot. But your light can still shine even as an introvert.
Oh, thank you. You can't hide your gifts from the world behind the word of introvert. That's just you being scared to go out and be seen.
I do
Like,
too. Hmm.
there's a difference. I know so many successful introverts, and for them, like their purpose and their presence on the earth is just so much bigger than how they need to recharge their battery, that they just intentionally schedule their life that way so that they have time to go back and decompress so that they can go back and show up again. And
Yes.
so I
Yes.
love this because I think, I don't know about you, but I think the part of the reason that I went down like the appearance path and the words path is that there were so many years that like thought it was about the car and the watches and the physical stuff that
Mhm.
would make people take me seriously. Right? We think that there's all these accolades and these accomplishments and these milestones and the tangible stuff. And so we sometimes think that if we don't get there or we don't have them, that people won't take us seriously. But like Afia is saying, like it's what starts from the inside, which sounds so cheesy, and it feels like, but no, tell me how to do it, right? But no, tell me, what outfit do I buy? Which watch do I need? Which one's going to make this come together? But like we've been talking this whole episode, like it has to start in here or everything else you put on your body looks fake and mismatched. Oh,
That's
Zoom
so
is giving
true.
us thumbs up.
Yeah, it is. That's absolutely true. It absolutely true. It has to come from, it's an inside job, right? It's inside out.
Yeah.
And as to introverts, I think I worked as I said, as an intelligence analyst for many, many years. That is I don't want to say thankless, but that's a job that nobody sees. You're not out front. I mean, other than when you're giving briefings and things. But nobody really ever knows what you're doing, but it's so essential to just about everything in this country. And so you can make a difference even if you don't want to necessarily be out front all the time. So, yeah, I agree.
You know what? Let's pause on that for a second. For our listeners who are like, nope, I'm an introvert. You guys are clearly extroverted. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't tell me how to do this. Like from your perspective and the experiences that you've had, like, can we talk to our introverted friends for a second and just help them maybe shine a little brighter today or feel more comfortable being seen and around people?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would say just understand that don't do anything because of what somebody else wants you to do, right? They may say to you, smile, or you should be, you should do this, or you should say that, or you should speak up more. I find that a lot of introverted people, when they do have something to say, even though they don't talk a lot, when they do say it, it's very profound. So, what I would say is when you have something to say, not any other time, when you have something to say, don't suppress yourself. Just know that it's probably the thing that needs to get heard in that moment. Also, communication doesn't have to be verbal all the time. Nonverbal communication is some of the
Oh, strong.
most communication that we do. Yes, and it's very important. And so sometimes silence says a thousand words, right? Sometimes silence, sometimes if you are feeling kind of, I don't know, maybe you're afraid of speaking up or you don't want to speak openly, just take a deep breath sometimes, because sometimes that anxiety can get the best of us. Just take a deep breath. Think about what it is that you want to say and then go ahead and say it. But again, you don't have to be prolific. You don't have to talk a lot. You certainly don't have to be the loudest. You just need to say what's on your mind. And a lot of times, whatever's on your mind is exactly what that group, that individual, or that industry needs to hear. So don't be scared.
I love that so much. You know, I said that to Afia behind the scenes before we hit record today. Like, I've learned to trust that whatever comes out of our mouths was exactly what was meant to be shared for the listeners listening to this episode. And so, like, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, what if you trusted that whatever you had to say was exactly what was needed in that moment, as long as your intentions were pure and contribution and like in a contributing way, not to destroy and destruct. Like, there's a difference about that.
Sure. Absolutely. And I didn't say that, but that's yeah. I was assuming that you had good intentions when I was saying what I was saying. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tiffany.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes I think the little voice that was in the back of my head was like, sometimes people think that they're just talking and telling the truth and saying the thing that people didn't want to hear, right?
Hmm.
But it's like, actually, your intentions of how you deliver a message are so important to how they're received. So if
That's
you
actually that
really
is
want
true.
change,
That's true. And I mean, and this is going more into the kind of image consulting and public speaking trainings that I do. You have to know your audience too, right? You have to know your audience, and saying this very same thing in one way can make a world of difference if you say it that same way to another group. So you have to know your
yes,
audience and know who you're talking to as well.
I love the know your audience conversation. Like, if you know your audience, you're so unstoppable because you start talking to people in the way that they receive and care about information so that you actually have a conversation with them that like moves the needle forward.
That's so
Influence
true. That's so
persuasion, right?
true. I mean, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, just I just feel like people need to understand what it. Oh, sorry, my camera is blurring or doing something weird.
There it is.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Tiffany. That is you're spot on with that, and yeah. So
So as we wrap up today's episode, like, what is it that you want to make sure that our listeners like walk away with today? If they take nothing away from our conversation, what's the one thing that you really want to like hammer home so that we can change some lives today?
yeah, I think one of the things that I said earlier, which was, everyone to turn heads, blow minds, and change lives. I think that's the thing. Get to the place where you're comfortable in your own skin, where you can walk into a room and you just light it up, um, and know what you're about, know what your message is and what you want to say. And then and go about the business of changing the lives and of the people around you, because you can in a positive way, as Tiffany said, right? And then one more thing I would say, and I say this a lot to my clients that I'm doing wardrobe styling for them, which is, don't be a mannequin, right? You
What does
wear
that
the
mean?
clothes, don't let the clothes wear you. And I think
Mm.
that can be applied to every area of our life, right? You buy the car, right? You get the promotion, you have the career, you eat the food, you do whatever it is that you want to do, but don't let that thing be the master over you. You master it, right? You wear the clothes that you want to wear and that look good on you, and not what society says. I'm 50 something, so they say a lot of what 50 something year old women shouldn't wear. I do not listen to that, not one bit. So I wear what I want to wear. And I just say, you wear the clothes. Don't let the clothes wear you. Don't let society tell you who you are and what you're about.
I love that. I love that so much. That is, we're not done yet. I thought we were done, but I really feel passionately about sharing this last piece. The day I stopped making myself fit the clothes, and started buying clothes that fit me and were a hell yes in the dressing room, everything changed. Because I spent so many years like, oh, if I'll get this, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds, right? And then it'll fit. Or I just need a different bra. Or I think maybe if it's not a hell yes in the dressing room, it wasn't designed for me. And that has been so liberating. And when you said like don't be a mannequin and like really own it, that is immediately what popped up to me. Was if it doesn't make me feel confident and sassy and I don't love it so much, then it's meant for someone else to pick up off the rack. It's not meant to go home with me.
Can I say something? Can I share something with you? Two things. Number one, no clothes that are on the rack are meant for anybody to pick up and take home. We've been
What
taught
does
that
that
that's where you
mean?
go to get your clothes. No, they are mass produced clothing. Retail is not meant for you individually. Like it is not. They make them in a certain amount of sizes and hope you can find one that is going to kind of, go with your body shape. But they aren't meant for you. Before, I think it was 1940s, everybody's clothes were custom made. It wasn't until mass production that they started doing this. And then it got to the place where your clothes didn't fit you for you. It's like just pick the one that's the closest. And we won't even talk about plus size clothing and all that. That's a whole different thing. But just know for yourself, if you want to look your best, and this is just a pro tip, whatever your clothing size is, the closer you can get to it, get it. But then know that if you want that perfect fit, you're probably going to have it tailored. And we don't want to hear that because that's more money and I don't have the time to do that. But honestly, they don't make the clothes for you. They
But
just
I
don't.
think, while yes, the dollar signs sit there, but I think that's so powerful to know, because how many women sit in a dressing room and blame themselves for why they can't buy clothes?
Right, because they don't know this. And listen, they don't want you to know it. They want you. That's why I say don't be a mannequin. Have you ever been in a mannequin in the store and you see the mannequin? She got the shirt, the bottoms, the purse, maybe even some jewelry. Like she got the whole thing. Even sometimes it doesn't even look that great together, right? But they want you to get it all, and you go, oh wow, yeah, I gotta have all that. Never mind that it probably doesn't fit you great. Never mind that it's not necessarily meant for you, but we see that and we think that's what we should get.
Never mind that she's got bunches and gathers in the
Yes,
back to make it look a certain
safety
way.
pins and all kind of things in the back. Absolutely, absolutely. So
Ah,
yeah, and I was one of those women who cried. This was in my book that I wrote. Um, yeah, I was in there crying because nothing was fitting. I was fat. I was like, oh my god. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And the lady came and she said, "Ma'am, are you okay?" Yes, I'm okay. But I was not okay. I had an actual breakdown because none of the clothes fit me. And now I know, oh, they're not
I'm not
necessarily meant to
broken.
fit you. Yeah, I mean, my body's different. I'm heavy chested. Um, and so anyway, a lot of the stuff it'll fit in the arms, but then it doesn't fit the chest, or it fits the chest and then the arms are too big, or the waist, or whatever. So yeah, I learned, okay, get the one that's most comfortable and then have it altered to fit you perfectly.
I think that was the nugget that hadn't come out yet. That was what was needed. I think I needed to hear that today, because even while I'm comfortable in my body and I have zero attachment to numbers, I need to go up or down, whatever I need. Like I don't care anymore. But like to hear, like, and that reminder that, oh yeah, they weren't actually designed to fit me. They were designed to fit enough people to make it work.
And the same thing is true of color, by the way. None of the colors are meant to match you. I mean, because most of us don't even know what colors are good for us, right? Or we may think so because other people tell us, but there's a whole science behind figuring out what those colors are. So, but anyway, yeah, retailers they want to sell you stuff. Now, if you are the owner of the brand, if you are a manufacturer of the clothing, if you are a designer or even a stylist, then okay, yeah, go ahead and be the mannequin and show off the clothes or whatever. But if that's not you, then don't just put something on because it's convenient, or you find something that well, I mean, because you can find convenient stuff that fits you well and that
And
looks
that
good
goes
on you.
back to
You just
being
have to know.
intentional.
Yes.
And that goes back to the
Okay.
intention that you're setting. Oh my
Yes.
God, this is so good. How do people connect with
Okay.
you outside of the show?
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so my website is www.afyaevans.com. So AFYA Evans.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, so they can see me there. Just look for Afya Evans. And let me see, I do have a hi hello. It's my digital business card. Can I give that real quick?
Yeah,
Okay, it's hihello.me/hi// Afya Evans. And
cool.
that's got everything, email, address, link tree, the whole thing. So,
Go be a human and connect with this woman.
yes,
Like
please do.
truly a gem. Like my soul feels just more alive in our conversation, and go learn what she's doing out in this world. color theory, how to dress yourself, how to speak more confidently, how to set intentions for the person that you want to be in this world. And so, with that, I thank you so much for being here with us. That's Two Humans Talking. I'll see you next
My
time.
pleasure.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found this episode as inspiring and actionable as I did. If you're ready to stop just surviving and start living a life where your health, your relationships, and your career work together without the burnout, then it's time that you join the Modern Women's Society. Inside, I'll walk you through my life GPS system, a proven blueprint to help you have it all while thriving. You'll gain tools, coaching, and the kind of clarity that brings big dreams to life without the stress, overwhelm, guilt, and shame that the modern woman is used to. We're going to create a life where you feel energized and excited to wake up every day and fulfilled when you put your head on the pillow. Click the link below to learn more and join countless other women who are redefining success on their terms. Because the life you've dreamed about is closer than you think. I'll see you on the inside.